G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and we're back after about a week or so of no videos. I was out of town, seeing the family, not quite able to make some videos, but we're back with the Nations Cup combination of about 2 weeks ago, Group 2 and Red Bull Ring, and we find ourselves in top split again for the first time in the exhibition series this time around. We did some top split races in the previous official season, but we were not able to get into top split for the first couple of rounds of exhibition series, but we finally got in, and we're at the back of the grid, or ranked at the back of the grid, so we're the lowest rated player, but we are in top split. So we come out for the qualifying session now. Basically what we can expect is kind of fighting near the back. Generally that's what tends to happen when you're sort of down the back there, but we're going to go for our qualifying lap right at the end of the session. We'll take you through a lap of Group 2 on Red Bull Ring. You can see we have set a 122.1, we're 17th at the moment, so we're going to try and focus on completing our lap. Coming up towards Nicky Lauda curve, turn 1, braking just after the end of the shadow, around the 100 metre mark, second gear, and about half throttle before the apex, and then full on the power after the bump on the apex, all the way out to the exit. We're not running that ultra wide line out of turn 1 anymore. Penalties for that. Coming up through turn 2 into turn 3, braking just before the 100 metre board, and then our first gear for the rotation. We go slightly deep there, but we kind of sort of rescue it on the exit with a straight run. Heading up the main straight, coming towards turn 4, I think it's called Schlossgold. Braking, same braking point as turn 2, actually, as turn 3 actually, just before the 100 metre board. Nice late apex. It's got a very curved exit as we head through turn 5 into the infield section, kind of downforce section here, braking just before the 50 metre board, down into third gear, trail brake for a nice late apex and get a nice straight exit, half the car onto the curb, braking just on the end of the curb, turning left for turn 7, and we bring it out to the curb for turn 8. Very careful on that curb as well, it's a bit buggy. Heading in towards turn 9, we're looking on the left hand side, braking just on the 50 metre board or slightly before it, third gear around there, use the downforce of the car and braking just on the start of the sort of bumpy sausage curbs on the left hand side before the final corner, use that curb on the exit, up towards the line, a 121.666. Hopefully that is not signs of things to come, the 666 is there, but in all honesty, 21.6 is a quite, it's not that bad of a lap, especially here. It puts us in a fairly decent position of 13th here in top split, and we change to the hard tyres as well. But as always with the combinations here for Nations Cup, let's enjoy the beautiful introduction. Lovely as always. We meet ourselves on the grid here with the two players on the front row of the grid here, both using the Motul Autech Nissan GT-R. We have gone for the same thing as well. I think it's the best car for the race. You'll see a couple of people in the 2008 GT500 cars, and a couple of Hondas and a Lexus from 2016 as well, but the best car was the Nissan. But we start just before the final corner and we just lose out on the start, so we don't have slipstream, but hopefully we can catch that ground up into turn 1. Starting 13th once again. On the exit of turn 1 here, we do have the slipstream of Mint Matt up ahead. So Mint Matt, that is Matt Simmons. He is a GT World Tour finalist, a FIA GTC finalist. So he's a fairly good player, qualifying a little bit far down the grid for him, if I'm honest here, and did it down in 12th at the moment. But you see on the exit of turn 3, we've got someone on our right hand side there. We get a little bit of a poor exit. We went slightly deep, not having the practice on the hard tyres that we started on here, and that is us down into now 15th as Macca comes in with a very opportunistic dive bomb there and met the apex beautifully, so that is a fair and clean move there. Dive bombs can be a point of contention, but if you dive down the inside from very far back and meet the apex, that is fair game, and that is all good. So Macca, very good move there, but you know, we are on a hard tyre at this part of the race, and some of these players are probably on medium tyres, so we can expect to drop down the field a little bit. We get that position from Macca again as he got himself a 2-second penalty, not quite sure what for. But then, interesting point on the right-hand side there, Matt goes into the pits, so we can begin to talk about strategy now at this point here. A couple of people in the pits, and we find ourselves up in 12th. It was a one-stop race, but you could potentially two-stop it. I was going to plan to one-stop it, but after seeing what Matt Simmons did, I decided to go in for the two-stop as well, so that meant a very short stint on the hard tyres in order to get 2 stints on your mediums. The one stop involved around 7 to 8 laps on the medium, and then the rest of the race on hard, or the opposite way around if you started at the back of the grid. But I was initially going to go for the one stop, but I thought Matt Simmons knows what he's doing. He is a finalist. I'm going to kind of copy his strategy, and we'll see how that works out for me. It's going to be an interesting point here. So we go into the pits, slam on the medium tyres, get off those hard tyres, and we're going to go for quite an aggressive run here on these tyres here. We get a move up to Czar on the inside of turn 1 on the beginning of lap 4, and that promotes us up into 17th position. Starting on lap 5 now, we go up the inside here of an old spec Honda Epson NSX there. That is a 2008 GT500 car. He just lets me go, shepherding me through with the indication of the right blinker there. Hopefully, he did. He kind of thought that I caught up to him quite quickly, and that is kind of to be expected with the fact that I've got the car with the more downforce, whereas those older cars are more suited for top speed. Verzerk runs wide on the exit of Verth there, coming into turn 8, and sort of cuts the apex of turn 8 a little bit. Gets himself a half-second track limits penalty. A couple more people in the pits. We're up into 14th position at this point. We're in that slipstream, or in 15th actually, as the positions equalise out, coming in through the hairpin now. A bit of a bump on the apex, and Verzerk is a little bit all over the place, a little bit squirmy on the exit. He serves that penalty there, and I kind of wasn't quite sure. I was going to go through him, but then he kind of finished up serving that penalty quite quickly. I thought he would have unghosted, so I had to swerve out of the way. I decided to run wide on the exit of turn 6 into turn 7 and get myself a half-second track limits penalty. So that was I kind of thought that Verzerk got that penalty, and I thought, oh good, it'll be easy to overtake him. Now I've just got myself a penalty. He's probably going to re-overtake me, and then I'm going to have to get a outright move on him, losing more time than I had hoped for. But we got a couple more people into the pits. We're into 11th position at this point. We'll see how those positions equalise out on the exit of the pits. 12th position, I think it's going to equalise out at. It does indeed. We do serve that penalty, and then we come around to the end of lap 9. More people in the pits, so you can see we've gone for that very early stop. We're out of phase, which means we're getting quite a few positions from players ahead going into the pits. Up into 11th at this point. We didn't lose out too much from that penalty, thank goodness. But on the exit of the pits, we're actually down into 12th. We've got the slipstream of Old Mate, who's just come out of the pits, I assume, onto medium tyres. I don't really know what he decided to. He may even be on brand new hard tyres, which could have maybe even slightly more grip than my very warm medium tyres at this point here. We go for the cutback on the exit of turn 3 there, side by side, running down towards turn 4. What's going to be interesting is Old Mate going to be able to hold around the outside. He seems to have the overspeed there. I think I let him go at that point there, and he does pull in ahead, and you see superior grip through the apex there, so it's not a smart fight to try and race Old Mate there, especially considering that at the end of lap 10 here we are going to go for our second stop onto our second stint of medium tyres there. So I think we did around 8 laps on those tyres there. We're coming in at the end of 10. We're going to do another 7 laps on the second set of medium tyres, so 1 less lap, which means we don't have to try and consider the long-term grip level of this set of tyres here, so we can potentially go more aggressive, and we come out behind Verzerk at this point, so that gives us a nice slipstream up the hill here, which can kind of probably help our pace as these tyres warm up here. Coming through the middle sector, we're up behind Verzerk at this point in 15th position. Around the left-hander we go in the slipstream, and we manage to kind of hold that position there nice and smoothly through the sort of middle handling section there into the slipstream, heading through the final corner. What goes on here at this point. Nothing much. We're just line astern at this point. Any more people going into the pit lane, that is going to be a no. He runs a little bit wide on the exit of that final corner. Is that going to earn himself a penalty? It's going to be interesting to see. The answer is no, but we do have the slipstream heading up towards turn 1. It's looking like we're going to try and set up a move coming into turn 3. Of course, turn 2 being the very shallow left into the braking zone for turn 3. Only recognised as a corner because in MotoGP, which runs at this circuit, turn 2, that curve just there, really does feel like a corner. Looking up the inside there, closing up under braking, but not quite getting that move there, but he just loses control in the exit, on the curb, on the exit curb of turn 3, and we're on the left-hand side of the Zerk, heading in towards turn 4. We do have the brand new tyres, we do have the grip advantage here. We're going to be able to hold around the outside into the braking zone. We do. Lovely little move there around the outside in the braking zone, or kind of, we outbraked him on the left-hand side of the circuit, which allowed us to take the racing line through the mid part of the corner. Nice move up into 14th there. On the exit of the final corner, the Honda NSX up ahead has a half-second penalty from the exit of the final corner, running a little bit too wide there, and we're just going to try and focus on keeping close to him. 1 second behind, so it's going to be... It will be fairly close actually, so the half-second penalty, you brake for half a second, but then you have the momentum loss down the straight. So ultimately a 1 second loss from a half-second penalty is going to be very close in terms of getting this position off him. We get a little bit of a squirm on out of the hairpin there. He serves the penalty. We're going to grab his slipstream as he comes back into the reality, out of the ghosting session there. He's quite comfortably on the inside there, but he has the awkward speed difference there, so is he going to be able to judge his braking? He goes a little bit wide on the exit. We're able to just quickly nip up the inside through turn 5 there with quite an opportunistic move on my behalf there. Quite happy with that one here, and we make our way up into 13th, and ultimately that was all of the moves I managed to make up by the end of the race there, running quite wide on the exit to turn 9 actually, and that gets myself a 1 second penalty. Luckily the gap between myself and the guy behind is nearly 3 seconds, or is 3 seconds on the line, so we managed to keep that 13th position there. So that is where we qualified. I think the strategy let me down, so it was at this point here where I kind of thought I really should have stuck to my guns and gone with the 1 stop instead of the 2 stop. I don't think the gains you make from the extra stint on the medium tyres can outweigh and then exceed the time lost from your extra pit stop, so that's kind of the idea we're going for there. So we find ourselves in 13th position. I do decide to go again. So typically what I do is I do the one race at 6 PM it is now for Nations Cup on a Wednesday evening, and then if that goes well enough, I tend to leave it there because it kind of gets too late into the night for me to keep racing. But I decided to go again. The next slot was at 7:20, so heading in towards the 8 o'clock by the time the race starts. But we find ourselves in top split again, indicative of Nick McCosey and Mint Matt in positions 1 and 2 at the start, ranked 1 and 2 here. So we're going to go out for our qualifying session once again here. So we're going to start our first flying lap here. We're going to try and get a slipstream on some of this lap at least. We're behind Ridwan F1. I know he's faster than me, so we're just out of that slipstream range there, and you know that's evident by the fact that he's nowhere to be seen by the end of the lap. We come across the line with a 1:21.7, 1/10 slower than my previous qualifying time, but we do have enough time to go up for a few more laps here. This was my second attempt at a lap. We crossed the line with a 1:22 dead. Exactly 1:22. Following lap, crossed the line with a 1:22.0 again. 1:22.0, so we're struggling to try and keep on the pace here, but we have enough time to extend our last run here and go out for a second lap on worn tyres. In the exit of the final corner, we were pushing pretty much as hard as we could here at this point. We crossed the line, 1:21.9. Look on the leaderboard, that puts us in 19th position. An actual legitimate qualifying position of last place. That was very disheartening. The only thing that I can potentially suggest is that we were only 8/10ths off pole position. So the field spread is very small. So I think that just came down to the lobby. We probably needed slipstream for some of it, but slipstream is just very hard to get for some reason. I always try to go for a clean lap, you know, in clean air, and then I try to go for a slipstream lap, but I always seem to lose out. I can't get the slipstream for some reason. I'm trying my best, but, you know, they always drive ahead of me. They always get away from me. But I guess that leads me to an interesting sort of race here. What can I do from the back of the grid? So, you know, we've all tried last to first challenges, but we haven't accidentally tried a last to first challenge by genuinely qualifying in last position here. But you see, we are getting a decent race with Tazar here. He goes around the outside at turn 3 and just holds his car on the left-hand side of myself here. Another right-hander coming up at turn 4, followed by another right-hander of turn 5. So let's see, is he got to be able to hold around the outside here? Not quite. I'd go down the inside, but I'd run a little bit too deep, and he gets the cutback. He's now on the left-hand side, which is the inside for this corner of turn 5 here, but then I now have the inside for turn 6 and 7, and the track sort of narrows up quite significantly on the exit of 7, so probably not going to be able to run side by side, but you can see I just pull in ahead there of Tazar, and I have started on the medium tyres this time as well, so I am going for that one stop. I decided the 2 stop was wasn't really working for me. You see that dive there, that was an absolutely beautiful move there, running down the inside of DJ on the entry to turn 3, just caught him napping a little bit, and then there's a couple of penalties up ahead. Somebody disconnected, I think, is what happened there. We're up into 16th position at this point. I try to go up the inside of Psydog there. He's in the Epson NSX, but we don't quite get that move up there. A few penalties being served ahead. We do have to try and be a little bit aggressive considering how far down the grid we are. Into the slipstream of JCD, into the braking zone for turn 4. We're running in quite hot. We make contact with Berserk there, make contact with the side of the other Nissan there, but we just let off the throttle just to allow him to retake that position but not lose a further position to JCD. So I use that point there as a little bit of an indicator to kind of just pull it in, rein it back. We don't want to outbrake ourselves and completely wipe someone else out and give ourselves a penalty, ruin 2 people's races. This move here, I was contemplating just hanging in behind Berserk, but he braked really early, all the way around the outside of turn 1, around the outside of Niki Lauda curve here at Red Bull Ring. You do not see that very often, and that honestly is probably one of the most finest moves I've ever done there. I was very happy after that. I was a happy man there, but who isn't a happy man is Psydor, completely losing it on the exit of the final corner there, so that is kind of the downfall of those older cars. Less downforce, you're going to be slipping and sliding on the exit of these corners here, especially Red Bull Ring, which is a very sort of really rough circuit, if I'm honest. You're clattering the curbs and you're all over the bumps on the edges of the circuit. We just followed Ridwan a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner there, so we didn't have the downforce, we didn't have that grip. Thanks to me being in Ridwan's slipstream, we just ran wide, got ourselves a half-second penalty. We're now vulnerable, heading up towards turn 3. We've got someone on our left-hand side, DJ in the AU Toms RCF from Lexus. They're heading up through turn 3 there. We're going to try and get the cutback. We are side by side on the exit of the corner there, but it is in futility as we're about to serve that half-second penalty there on the top straight here at Red Bull Ring. And then we've got another car going around the outside here just before the braking zone. JCD, we're back down into 15th, so mistakes like that are not ideal in this kind of race. Starting from the back, doing a one-stop strategy, we do have to run ultra aggressive here, and then we're going to come around to the pits. JCD just punts the other car a little bit wide, gets himself a 4-second penalty on the entry to the pits. That is quite not good. But then here, I was so distracted, I hit the medium tyre button again. Oh my goodness. So the one-stop strategy, you want to just start on mediums and then pit once on lap 7, which I decided to do, and then run hards to the end. But I didn't think, went a little bit too quick, and hit the medium button again. So I changed to a new set of medium tyres. Required tyres are hard. You have to be on your hard tyre for at least 1 lap. So that kind of sealed my fate there. I'm now deciding that it is going to go for a 2-stop again. Really didn't want to do that. Made it, you know, everyone's done it. Everyone's selected the wrong tyre in the pits. There's no way to cancel it after you hit it as well. There's also no confirmation once you press the button on the tyre. That is it. So we go for a new set of mediums. Therefore, we're going to have to pit again for our hard tyres, which is the requirement. Otherwise, you will get a 60-second penalty at the exit, or on the end of the race there. But anyway, while I've been bluing over that, we have made our way up into 14th position. We cut the corner, the final corner of the previous lap a little bit, got ourselves a half-second penalty, big gap, so we served that and didn't lose anything. And then we're beginning lap 10 now. We're in 11th position. A few more people went into the pits there, and on the exit of the corner here, let's see, Rid1 F1 slots in behind, but he's going to be on brand new tyres. But we do have Norm up ahead here. Coming into turn 3, Rid1 goes up the inside here, which, you know, fair game. It's probably the best kind of move you're going to get at that point there. He flashes the hazards to apologise for the contact, but I think that move was kind of okay. You know, turn 3, it is an overtaking opportunity, but it's an awkward one at that. So we do have to be, you know, mindful of when when moves are getting made, rather, or when positions are changing. Up at turn 3, the victim, if you will, for lack of a better term, has to kind of comply with an overtake. Turn 3 again, Rid1 goes for a nice dive bomb on Vaporized, but it doesn't quite come off. He runs way too deep. He got himself a penalty on the exit of turn 1 as well, so he's going to serve that, and that just falls him in behind. We're in 12th position at this point. Final corner coming through, yellow flags are out. Somebody has binned it on the main straight here, and I just see, just in time, Mint Matt in the Epson NSX has binned it on the exit of the final corner. So we saw Sidog do the same thing. Mint Matt has decided to go for a duplicate move, a copy of Sidog there. We make our way up into 11th position. Rid1 is behind. We know he's a little bit dive bomby, heading in towards the hairpin at the top of the circuit here, so we're going to have to be mindful of that. We just take our normal racing line and we just allow any moves that he may do. He can, you know, make those moves if he wants, but that one not quite as good as the previous one. There was a little bit, he ran a little bit too deep and just shepherded me, you know, a little too wide, a little too much contact for my liking on that kind of move there. But we managed to stay in 12th position until the end of that second medium stint there, and we have to come into the pits again. It is so painful having to make the extra pit stop. You know, I wasn't really racing like I was doing a 2-stop, I was racing like I was doing a 1-stop. The 2-stop you can take a bit more of a measured approach because you are going into the pits an extra time, so you really want to be nice and smooth to make the most of the tyre grip, which you need to do with making that extra stop. But a 1-stop, you know, requires a little bit more aggression. You've got to try and sort of make moves as much as possible, essentially, as you're spending more time on your less grippy tyres. Somebody disconnects halfway through the final lap, so that's pretty painful. But just the one lap on the hard tyres, and I feel like I lost out really. I probably could have got 12th, to be honest. Doing the 1-stop, just doing the 1-stop. Because I feel like, you know, I was kind of up where Rid1 was. I was racing Rid1 for most of the race, but it was not, you know, not to be. A little bit too trigger happy on the entrance to the pits with my tyre selection. So I could have, you know, I was racing Rid1. He finished 9th in the end, so I could have very well gotten a top 10. Tazar started 18th, so he had a very good result as well. And Maka, we were racing at the start of the race as well. I felt like I was quicker than Tazar, so we probably could have got a top 10 there, which would have been a fairly decent result, considering we started last. But at the end of the day, we did start last. We got to 14th, up 5 positions, not quite the race I was going for. I could have potentially gone for the 3rd slot, but at that point there, it's getting to like 20 to 9 is the match time, so is the time slot there, so a little bit too late for me. But you know, I hope you enjoyed that one. It's a little bit choppy and changey, quite a few cuts in that footage there, but I had to try and condense the 2 races down into sort of a bite-sized chunk of around 25 minutes, so hopefully I've done it justice, and hopefully it was entertaining enough to watch. If it was, you can let me know down in the comments below. I read all of them and I'll reply to as many as I can. And do hit the like button if you liked it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.